there. Some people have had some questions about how to use SymbolStix effectively as visuals for their students, so I wanted to give you a primer on what I usually do. So everyone should have access to Google Slides. I highly recommend you use Google Slides and not Google Docs, and you'll see why. And first, because you know that you're going to go and print these things, I would go to File and I would do a page setup. And the reason I would do this is because I don't really want to mess around with the size of my page. I want it to be printer paper size, so I'm going to make it 8.5 by 11. Now it's going to look like printer paper size. Great. Next, I'm going to go in and I'm actually going to make some shapes. So I'm going to make squares. Now, a trick for making an actual square is to hold down your Shift key while you go out with your mouse. So this is a square. If I wanted to figure out exactly how big this square is, I could start looking at the formatting, and actually I would actually recommend that you do that because you want to be consistent with your squares that you use across different locations, places, binders, things like that. But for the sake of this, we're just going to show you a square. Then I'm going to go in here, and since it's for some reason a gray background, I'm going to change it to a white background. I don't really like that border, so I'm going to say I want a 2-point border, and I want it to be a black. Well, it's kind of a dark gray, isn't it? I'm going to go with a yeah, we'll just deal with it how it is. And now I'm actually going to put a word in here, and I'm going to say sample. And the reason I'm doing that right now is because I want to get this in here so I don't have to mess around with things later. So I'm going to make it an 18-point font so it's a little bit easier for kids to see. I'm going to put it in the middle, and then I'm going to put it at the top of my square. Now I have this square. I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to use it as my template by hitting Command D for duplicate. I'm going to make another. I'm going to make another. Oops, I hit a mouse. That made everything go weird. I'll make another. So I ideally would set these up perfectly with the right amount of space in between them. As it is, I'm going to keep them like this. I'm going to go to Arrange. I'm going to go to Align. Let's say I want them to be aligned through the middle, and then I'm going to say, yeah, it looks good. I'm going to duplicate that whole row, and then I'm going to put it down here, and then I'm going to do it again. Oops, and I obviously messed that one up, and I can hit Command Z to undo things that I have just done. I'm going to do that row again, and then ideally I would want, since this is a template, I would want it down my whole page. One thing I forgot to note is that I actually don't even like this font. What I should have done instead of Arial was use Mully, and I'm not sure if everyone has Mully, but you can get it. It's a Google font, and one of the reasons I like it is because it makes the A look more like the A that students are familiar with in the classroom. So I'm going to do all of that. I'm just going to say I want it all to be in Mully. Okay, great. Now I have my sample, and I'm going to duplicate the entire page. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. I have been having some trouble with this. Yeah, so I'm going to duplicate that entire page so that I don't mess with my template. Okay, I'm on page 2. Now, here's where I'm going to get my SymbolStix. I am logged into SymbolStix. I have already decided. I went to search all. Loading. I decided the word right was what I wanted a symbol of. Just so you know, this is a great newer feature, is that you can choose skin color for your symbols. So I highly recommend that you choose skin colors that match the skin color and race of your students so that it's more inclusive. Okay, so let's say we're going to go to right. Now there's a couple things I could do, but what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to download that. Now, depending on how your symbols download, and that you set up on your computer itself. So for some people, they go down below here. For some people, they go to their desktop. For some people, they go straight into a downloads folder, and everyone has set theirs up differently. So we're going to see if I can get this to slide right over. Well, it'll be a little experiment here. So I'm going to try sliding it over. Yes. And I got my right symbol. And then I do need to, one disadvantage of this system is that you do have to size it yourself. That is definitely a disadvantage. It's not going to auto size, but I can size it myself and I can put it in that little square. And now I can use this for, let's say, a manipulative schedule piece or something like that. So that is the down and dirty on how to use SymbolStix with Google Slides so that you can make your own visuals. One thing that is kind of helpful is if you have the same symbols that you use over and over and over again, just download them to a folder on your computer, and then you can slide them into your Google Slides whenever you need to do so. Something else to note is, let's say you're like, you know what, I don't really want little squares. I'm actually making something bigger, and I want some bigger things. So I can add a new page. I always get rid of these. These are annoying. And then I can just go whoop, and I can stick my symbol in really big. Now it's a classroom sign. I can add a text box right here because maybe this is going to be the writing station. I'm going to adjust this to be much bigger. I'm going to play around and make it in the middle. I want to change my font. And now I have a full sign that says writing on it as well. And the advantage of using Google Slides over Google Docs is now I can do whatever I want to any of this. I can move around the word. I can move around the symbol. I can put it wherever I want. Google Docs wants things in linear order. Google Slides does not care at all. So you have a lot more flexibility.